right, so we're going to talk about exponential day 4. We're going to talk about finding equations of these exponential functions. So we always need to make sure that we're reading and paying careful attention to detail. It says the graph of an exponential function of the form, and notice that there are no reflections, and it is pictured to the right. We're going to answer the following questions. So what is the value of C? Well, if you remember, C is the horizontal asymptote, so that is at -3. And we want to give a reason. So C is equal to -3 because the constant term is the Y value of the horizontal asymptote, which is Y equals -3. All right, so now we're going to rewrite the equation using our value of C. And we are going to use the point -1, -2. So that's what point we're using. And we're going to try and find the value of A. So f of x is just simply, what we're doing is replacing f of x with -2. But for some of you, let's just do proper notation. So I'm going to replace x with -1. So what that means is I'm going to have A times B to the -1 plus 1. And then my C value is -3. And then it is going to equal -2. Okay, so when I plug in -1, f of -1, this is what I get. And now I'm just going to perform some algebra calculations and solve for A. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 3. And then I am going to simplify. I've got A times B to the 0 power, and that is equal to 1. Now, what do we know about b to the first power? B to the first power is just 1. So we end up getting A is equal to 1. All right, now it says use another point on the graph. So, I mean, I could use this point, which is 0, -1. I could also use the point 1, 1. It doesn't matter. You can try it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to write the function f of x is equal to 1 times b. And the form they wanted was x plus 1, so x plus 1 and then -3, right? Because that's our what we know so far. So now what we're going to do is just plug in f of 1. Let's do f of, well, let's do 0, -1. Let's try that one. So when I plug in 0, I am going to get 1b to the 0 plus 1 -3. And when I plug in 0, I get -1. So let's kind of like just put an arrow there. So really 1 times b to the first, so that's just simple. That's just b. So b minus 3 equals -1. Finish solving. And I get b is equal to 2. So we found the value of b, but now we're supposed to put it in the form of the equation. So we're going to go f of x is equal to, and again, we're going to have 1 because that was our a value, b to the x plus 1 because that is the form that they gave us, and then -3 to represent our c value. All right, now they're giving us a graph. Notice no reflections, and we are going to determine the values of A, B, and C. But before we do that, let's just take a step back and see what we notice. Notice that the graph is below the horizontal asymptote. So one of the first things that's easy to recognize is the value of C. So I agree that C would be 4 because that is going to be our horizontal asymptote. I also know that A is going to be negative. Okay, and if there's one reflection, so this would be one reflection, and this is growth, then that means B is going to be a number between 0 and 1. So these are just things that I should be able to kind of think about before I go in and set everything up using the algebra. So let's go ahead and calculate this. G of x is equal to AB to the power of x plus 4. So already I know I want to go plus 4. Now what I need is a point. So let's go ahead and use the point 0, 2. And so when I plug in 0, I'm going to get a times b to the 0 plus 4, and that is going to equal a 2. So that's easy because b to the 0 power is just 1. And so now what I have is I'm going to subtract 4, and I am going to get a is equal to -2. Now, check it. Does that make sense? Well, I already knew that my a was going to be less than 0 or negative, so I'm happy. I'm kind of like checking this as I go. So I'm going to write down my equation over here. The next thing I want to find is my b value. I already know